A child will get up and walk just because it can, because it's physically able, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with a person. They can eventually find a way to move around and walk about, even without being taught. It's just physically, they're going to end up upright at some point, unless someone tells them that you're not supposed to be walking on only two legs. You're supposed to be on all fours. And then they might think, well, I shouldn't walk on two legs. I'll just use all four.
Want this piece of toast? Oh,
I don't want toast.
huh?
I don't want toast. But what I do want to do is talk to you about something called centripetal force. Centripetal force. Centripetal force is a spiral force energy. It gets rid of things like toast. Now, this spiral force energy helps you cultivate chi, a life force energy. It's in the spin, uh, which works with your metabolic field. Now, I'm no expert. What I'm doing is applying centripetal force to dance. While doing Qigong and dance, using Tai Chi, deep body breathing, mudra, and if you've been following along, uh, I use yoga also and meditation in my dance to connect spiritually, and not just for health benefits, to really trying to connect somewhere. And so on our journey, sometimes we're going along and we find something inside us and we just go with it and we don't know where it's going. Mine was in movement and with these different types of meditations and healing modalities. So let's take a closer look at centripetal force.
Imagine you've got a tennis ball attached to a piece of string, and you start swinging it in circles. Whoa now, watch out for your buddy. For objects undergoing circular motion, the net force on the object is called the centripetal force. It's a weird sounding word, but it's Latin for the phrase center seeking. It's named centripetal because the centripetal force always points to the center of the circle. The ball has a tangential velocity, so if you suddenly cut the string, it would fly off in whatever the tangential direction was at the moment you made the cut. But assuming you don't cut the string and you keep swinging the ball's tangential velocity is constantly changing directions. This means the ball is accelerating, and the reason it's accelerating is due to the centripetal force. The centripetal force acting on the ball is constantly directing the ball towards the center of the circle, your hand. This, combined with the ball's velocity, keeps the ball swinging in a circle. The same centripetal force that keeps the tennis ball swinging in a circle also keeps roller coasters on the track as they go through a loop-de-loop. So the next time you're having a blast on a roller coaster, you can thank the centripetal force. Let's take a closer look at the fascinating physics of this simple action. You've probably heard of Newton's second law of motion as it relates to objects moving in a straight line. Turns out, Newton's second law also tells us about the net force on an object as it moves in a circle. When an object moves in a circle, its velocity changes direction. Since the velocity is changing, that means we have an acceleration. And we know from Newton's second law that if we have an acceleration, we have a net force. Now back to our spinning ball.
No, I'm not where I want to be with all of this yet. It's experimental and I'm really enjoying it. But to even begin to understand what I'm trying to do with this spiral force energy, this centripedal energy, you'll have to look at a wee bit of Dan Winter's research. Enjoy.
This is the actual science. This is the geometry of the electric field that permits that charge distribution. This is actually a map of the path into DNA for capacitive charge. So if we take a top-down view here, there's a top-down view of DNA. And if I look at the side view, you see what that looks like. That's a three-dimensional fractal. Merkaba, Ezekiel's Wheel, City of Revelation. And if I rotate that golden spiral that connects them down that cone, called the caduceus, meaning phase conjugation, I get the fractal field of DNA called the Holy Grail. That Holy Grail is the only possible three-dimensional fractal, and it's the nature of how the electricity of DNA radio works. And that's the point. That actually the ability to fabricate these structures is what allows us to make sacred space and what makes biology work, the motor of DNA radio. The side view versus the top view of that same spiral, do you see golden spiral, is called the caduceus Hermes, or Kadistu, the actual life designers of the Anunnaki. And that became our word caduceus, which is phase conjugation. Phase conjugation simply means that the phases of the waves conjugate in the sense of conjugal relations, you know? And that creates scale invariance, non-destructive compression, which is what you need to do with your electric field if you would like to die successfully. And your DNA is preparing you for that if you help by having some bliss experiences. So that's an introduction to what we call fractality, the new science of life. Gravity, color, all the universal centripedal and negotropic forces are caused electrically by fractality. This is the physics that Einstein missed. He knew it was about non-destructive compression, but because he did not know what a fractal was, and unfortunately most of physics does not know what a fractal field is, but we now know, we can now explain basically the mysteries of life, and better, we can solve practical social problems by using these principles, including in architecture. So what we're saying specifically is that the perfected fractal phase conjugation, means waves that can add and multiply using golden ratio, is the electric origin, cause, and mechanism of all centripedal and self-organizing forces, including and especially, this is the electric cause and mechanism of gravity, life force, perception. The electric cause and mechanism, the reason there is perception is because your brain waves phase conjugate. That's why if you sit under a sacred tree, the fractal electric field causes your vision to get sharper, and you can maybe have your new clairvoyance. This is the electric cause and origin of enlightenment and bliss. This is the cause and origin of alphabets. And we're going to see it's the cause of color. Color exists because photons phase conjugate. That is the reason there is rainbows. And if you know it, then you can use color to heal. So this concept of perfect compression into the black hole was called the Chem in Egypt, the original name for Egypt, meaning the place of the blackness, because Enki's blood was blue-black. And later that word chem became our word chemistry and alchemy, meaning the ability to access a black hole. And that's the physics that we then called implosion, fusion, zero point, omega point, still point, etc. So we have too many names for, or Bindu point. We have too many names for the principle of what Mike beautifully, poetically described as the sweet spot. The sweet spot is a place where waves...
If I could be almost anything, I would choose to be used to make music. I'd be the song that just got sings. I'd be a bell at church that rings. If I could make music, I'd be that drum that bangs when Questlove plays. Ooh, anything. If I could make music, I'd be a Dr. Dre beat, keep you moving your feet. I'd be the mind of Prince or Prince's fingertips. I'd be the wonder in Stevie or the truth in Ari. I'm so happy if I can make music. I'd be the note you hear when Alicia Keys is near. I'd be the alto sound when Brandy simple note coming from Beyonce's throat. I'd be D'Angelo groove. His music has attitude. I'd be a string on the guitar of Jimmy. Come on, you got to feel me happy. If I could make music, I'd be the high-pitched yell of Miss Patti LaBelle. I'd be Aretha's moan or Gladys Knight's sweet home. I'd be that common black star or the bass in your car or a sound from afar or a plain old guitar. I'd be that favorite song you ask the DJ to put on. Oh, if I could make music.